And thank you for Lifetime Achievement Award. I feel 95 years old. Maybe that was your intention. But believe me, I am good to go for another 25 years, health willing. But thank you for this honor. And I'm really, really grateful for the award. You also said that, you're inviting me for a keynote address. Now, I have to share with all of you that this word keynote really scares me because, keynote, the speaker is expected to be somebody who's going to come and give you gyan and tell you how to run your lives and, all these kinds of things. So I asked Chavi, and if I could just share some learnings from my work life. I started working in 87, so I don't even want to know how long it has been. But if there were some learnings that I could share with all of you, not keep it at a heavy gyan level, but just share some parts of my life story, work story. And she was gracious enough to agree, so here I am. And I will speak about some learnings that I had from 3 different parts of my work life, and I will break them up into 3 parts. One is my Tata Administrative Service, TAS days, when I started working. Then somewhere around 2005, when I joined what was then UTI Bank, is now Axis Bank. And the third one was 2015, when I pivoted completely and gave up my corporate life. And there have been 3 major landmarks, so to say, in my work life. And I do want to share with you things that happened and things that I learned at each of those. So let me start with TAS. Now, TAS is Tata Administrative Service. Now everybody calls it TAS, but you can make out the age of a TAS officer if they say TAS or they say TAS. All the young ones say TAS. All of us only say TAS. So TAS was actually the best thing that happened to me professionally. I don't know how many of you know about the TAS, but I'll just tell you, and it may sound like a bit of a boast, but in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and even to the 90s, the TAS was the most coveted job on any business institute. In any campus, TAS was like everybody's dream. It was my dream too. I'm just very, very fortunate that I was one of the 6 people who were selected that year. So the good thing about TAS was that there was no numbers that had to be filled every year. If they had a bar, if everybody who was there for the final interview crossed it, everybody was made an offer. If nobody made the bar, nobody was made an offer. So what I learned as a child, you get your basic values from your parents, from your family, and those values stay with you throughout your life. And as a young professional, what you learn in your first job actually also sets the base for the rest of your work life. So I was very fortunate that I got my grounding in the TAS, in the Tatas, because there's one thing that I learned which has stayed with me throughout my life since then, is that there is only one way to do the business, which is the right way. And this wasn't taught to us. We weren't made to sit in a room like this, and where people came up on stage and gave us moral lectures on what is the right way and what is not the right way, what you should do. We learned just by observing our leaders. And as TAS officers, we were extremely fortunate that we had direct access to each and every Tata leader. I mean, if I wanted to meet JRD, I could. If I wanted to meet RNT, I could. If I wanted to meet Krishna Kumar, I could. So And the first year of our TS probation had us working in 5 different Tata companies in live projects. And again, because we were TS, we worked with, either the chairman of the companies or the managing directors or at that level. I don't know about the others, but for me, I was like a sponge. I was absorbing everything that I saw and heard. Because when I'm sitting in, say, Krishna Kumar's office, and I am observing him dealing with people, I'm observing him looking at a problem, discussing with some of the other colleagues, I got an insight into how the minds of great leaders work. What is it that they think about? What is it that they don't want to do? What is it that they want to do? So KK was just one example, Xerxes Desai, Ravi Dubey, lots of people that I was fortunate to work with. So what I learned was that what you do matters. Doing business the right way may take a little longer time, but it is something that endures. TS also gave me an opportunity to learn how to work with people who were much, much older than me. I mean, I was in my mid-20s. The other advantage of the TS is that they give you leadership responsibilities much earlier than anywhere else. So at 32, I was the regional head of North India and East India for a mid-sized Tata company. And at that time, my peers from my MBA days were, assistant managers or managers. But I was a deputy general manager, and the only reason the MD did not make me a general manager was because I was replacing a 55-year-old man. I was 32. He said, all your other GMs are going to be 55. I cannot make you a GM. But the role and the job I did was that of a GM. So I learned how to work with senior people, be their bosses even, which helped me when which takes me to the second point, second part that I want to talk about, which is when I joined Axis Bank. At that time, it was called UTI Bank. Everybody thought it was a government bank. In fact, my mother-in-law asked me, "Beta, kya ho gaya hai? जो आप मतलब प्राइवेट कंपनी छोड़ के आप गवर्नमेंट में जा रहे हो?" बट बिलीव मी, यूटीआई बैंक वाज एनीथिंग बट अ गवर्नमेंट बैंक. आई मीन, इट वाज अ प्राइवेट बैंक ऑफ कोर्स, बट it was far more agile, far more adventurous, far more dynamic than a lot of the other private banks also. But I was brought in by Dr. Naik, who was the chairman at that time, to set up the wealth management network, the distribution platform, which meant that we had to sell investment products to the customers of the bank. And here I was in my early 40s. Yeah, I was in my early 40s. And I walk in at a senior management role. And when I joined, I think the total income of the large bank from selling investment products was, I think, 1.48 crores. I obviously started working and, visiting branches, talking to people, and I was told by senior branch managers कि मैडम आप गलत जगह आ गए हो, हम बैंकर्स हैं, हम सेल्समैन नहीं हैं, आप जाओ, आपको अपनी गलती का पता चल जाएगा. But I persevered and I persevered. And the same people who told me, madam, आप वापस चले जाओ, were the ones who were vying to get the top salesman award at the end of the year. And when I left, which was 6 years later, the total income was 800 crores, which was done in the matter of 6 years by people who believed in me. And what did I learn? I learned that one person can make a difference. And I will give you a more practical story about how one person did make a difference. So when I joined, I had a wonderful boss called Hemant Kaul, and he had a nice office. His doors were always open. And I would want to go and sit across, from him and want to talk to him. And I would be sitting, and random people would walk in. They would see that I'm sitting and talking to him, but they would walk in, interrupt, start talking to Mr. Kaul. Mr. Kaul would respond. They would go back. We would start our conversation. Somebody else would come. irritated me. It really irritated me, and I thought it was extremely rude. I was new. I, and I didn't want to. Maybe that was the culture. Who knew? Also, Mr. Call, people would. He would be on the phone. What I hated was if I was on the phone in my room, I had a glass door. If people saw that I was speaking on the phone, they still would barge in and would start speaking to me. I had to interrupt my, phone call and tell the person, hold on, and then speak to the person. That also really irritated me. So what I did was that whenever I wanted to speak to Mr. Call, I would go. If there was somebody sitting inside his room, I would just stand outside his door and lean on the cubicle of his secretary. Now the secretary would say, ma'am, why are you standing here? And I'd say, I have to meet Mr. Call. Aap chahiye andar? I said, no, somebody else is sitting there. No, why, how? It doesn't matter, go. It doesn't look nice that you're standing. But I would say, no, let him finish. I will go after he finishes. So I did that. And people would be walking in the passageway. They'd say, ma'am, why are you standing? And I'd say, I'm waiting for Mr. Call. He's in the room. Go inside. Na? I said, no, somebody's sitting there. So what? Go. And I'd say, no, I'll just wait till they finish. I would wait for the person to finish, go in, sit down. Random people would still continue to walk in. But I just continued standing outside, waiting for the person sitting inside to leave and then go inside. And every time people asked me, why are you standing? I would say, I'm waiting for Mr. Call to get free. I think it took less than a month. Believe me, it took less than a month when there was a total change in people's behavior. People would not walk into either Mr. Call's room, certainly not my room, if they saw that there was a person sitting inside. There would be a line outside Mr. Call's room. There would be a line outside my room. But people would wait till they saw the person inside walk out. And the same thing happened for the telephone calls. I would wait outside Mr. Call's room if he was on the phone. Again, people would say, ma'am, why are you waiting? I'd say, he's on the phone. But koi baitha to nahi hai na, aap jao na. So I said, nahi, he's on the phone, I will not go. Again, less than a month it took for people to notice and start emulating the same behavior. So one person can make a change in small things like, etiquettes, and also in larger things like changing the culture of the bank. This is not my word. I would never be, bold enough to say it, but when I was leaving Axis Bank, my bosses told me, Dr. Naik told me, Shikha told me, Chakrabarti told me that Sonu, you changed the bank's culture. It became a lean, mean selling machine, but selling the right way. Now I come to the third point. 5 minutes only. Chavi, sorry. I got carried away. The third is when I decided to quit corporate life, because the day that I realized that I was working only for the salary check at the end of the month, and it was bringing me no joy, the 30 days that I had to spend in the office to earn that salary check, I realized that I did not want to do that. And I agree completely with Latika that, you need to take these calls once you are financially secure. So I decided to take a year off, because I said, let me see what I want to do. If I don't want to go back to a job, I'll figure out something. But if I want to go back to a job, if I miss working so much, it would take me 6 months to find the right job. So we moved from Bombay to Delhi. My husband is here, and he's a full-time author, and I am one of those fortunate ones who's married to an enlightened man, because I was able to do what I did in my career because my husband left his job not once but twice so that I could continue with my career. And he was a... Take a bow, Jaggi, take a bow. And he was a known face on television during when it was only Doordarshan. So he was a news correspondent. He's the one who's interviewed this present North Korea Kim's grandfather. He was a known face. Then he was the one who launched Lok Sabha television. He was the lead anchor, but he left that so that, I could focus on my career and our son had at least one parent at home. Anyway, so we moved back to Delhi, and, Jaggi, my husband, is the one who told me that, Sonu, you take a very, very considered call whether you want to give up your corporate career, because you're at the peak of your career. People's attitude will change once you don't have the business card, Latika, like you said. When you don't have a brand behind you, people's attitudes will change. And I said, how does it matter? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But it did matter. Because even though I was prepared for it, it still hurt me a lot. That even people that I thought were my friends just stopped taking my phone calls. I wasn't asking anything from them, but they just stopped taking my phone calls. They did not reply to my emails. We were dropped off social lists completely. We stopped getting invited to the, corporate dinners, and not corporate as in company dinners, but corporate people who would have dinners at home. We stopped getting invited. Fine, it hurt, but Jaggi said, I told you so. So I said, yeah, you did tell me so, but how does it matter? And I decided at that time that I wanted to work in the area of family businesses, not in the business side, but on the family side, because that's been an area of deep passion for me. Mr. Bansal is here, and we've done some great work with his institute. I know we did some great work. So very quickly, the context is like every business has a business strategy. A family business needs a family strategy if it wants to be a multi-generational one. So I wanted to start doing some work in this area. I had a broad idea, but I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. I called a bunch of friends, well-wishers, acquaintances to brainstorm. I can't tell you how condescending they were. They were like really, really, really condescending. And I was quite demotivated because in my mind, it was going to be a big thing that I was going to do. I was demotivated. But again, I think I'm an optimist. I continued to meet people. And everybody gave me kyan. Everybody was very condescending. Sonu, you must do this. Sonu, you must do this. It will take a lot of time. It will, whatever. Again, I just persevered. And I decided I have to do it because it was something that was close to my heart. Also, I had to do something. Otherwise we're not allowed to say the word, so I'll say staff. We can't say maids and servants now. It's not politically correct. So my staff would get very antsy if I was at home the whole day. So I said, I have to do something. So slowly, I started doing little work in the area of family businesses. Started off with a magazine, and Mr. Bansal was very, very, very supportive. We did some great work for 2 years with his students. I taught at a couple of others. I used to just go and meet people. I started building my own profile on social media. Again, it didn't take too much of time. I think it took about 1.5 years. I was surprised when people started calling me an authority on family businesses. I am not. I'm confessing here, I am not an authority. Yes, I know a lot about them, but I did that just by persevering, talking to people, being on social media. I did not spend a single rupee hiring a digital marketing expert, did it all by myself. And today I have 4 books published, 5th one's coming out next month, working on my 6th. So I'm a published author, I have a magazine, I'm on the boards of several companies, very well-known companies. I have a YouTube channel. I urge all of you, please, I can't waste this opportunity. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's called very simply Sonu Bhasin Families and Business. It has great content, free of cost. How's that as a marketing pitch? Please go subscribe. So again, what the learning that I want to share with you is that if you are convinced what you are doing is right and it is something that you want to do, close your ears and continue. Because first people will laugh at you, they will mock you, but the same people then will be willing to wait 5 weeks to get a phone call with you, to get a Zoom meeting with you. That's the way of the world. It's cruel, but it is. And the only thing that at a philosophical level I can say before I end is that if you find doing this to someone who's trying something new, who's quit a corporate career, who's been laid off, who's doing something, just give them your time and show them an interest. Believe me, that is worth more than any business opportunity that you will give them. So just give them your time and your ear, that's it. So that's my story, that's my learnings. Happy to interact offline with anyone who has more questions. And thank you again.